Welcome to the Safe Place podcast, and we're here today to talk about many aspects of mental health. So, Craig, you've got a few notes that you took down, haven't you, recently, in terms of wondering about what causes mental health, how mental health starts, where to go and get support and help if you're feeling any of those aspects or diagnoses of mental health. So run us through some of these notes. Once you finish adjusting your chair, that is.
So basically, I've introduced myself. My name's Craig Powell. I am currently working on a degree in psychology and counselling, basically because I want to help people, and I've had an experience in mental health myself, so I feel like I've overcome a majority of it, so I want to pass on some information, and that's the reason why I'm going to talk about this today.
Lovely. Thanks, Craig. And Brian?
Hello everyone, my name's Ryan. I've got no qualifications, but I'm very experienced with anxiety and depression. I've been through it. I feel I've overcome it, or got to a point in my life where I'm comfortable now, and that's me.
Thanks, Brian. And I'm Andrew Murray, and I'm a psychotherapeutic counsellor. And again, just like the lads, I've been through it all, hopefully it all, because it is difficult suffering when you're in it, guys. But more importantly, we've got the qualifications on the team and with the experience of what Ryan's been through, so hopefully have a comprehensive viewpoint on what mental health is. So do you want to run through some of those?
Okay, so probably just say to start with a little disclaimer for all three of us in case we say something that upsets someone. We'll say a point of view that we believe in personally, and it might be different to your view, and then we can explain why we have it, and maybe you can open your mind to see if this is a possibility or we are talking nonsense. But the reason why it's important is that mental illness costs England £105 billion. That's on services, that's on all the care that you get, the pharmacy stuff that you have to have. So that's an awful lot of money for something that is, I believe, a curable thing, a difficult thing to cure, but something that could be get cut in half if we do the right things. And the worldwide figure, they estimate, and this was in 2018, $16 trillion spent on mental illness. So this is important for governments to learn, for countries to learn, and to just reduce mental health.
And you could probably class it as a silent pandemic, couldn't you? It's becoming more and more known now culturally about mental health, and I think the workplace is changing in terms of being able to accept that it's a part of what human beings go through, and they're allowing a little bit more freedom of people being able to take time off. But in terms of giving them the right support, we're still way short of where we should be, aren't we?
Yeah. Ryan, talk about your experience and maybe the help you got or you didn't get.
Right, so it all started. So mainly I went to my GP, suffering with anxiety and depression. Could be mild, I don't know, but I wasn't feeling great at the time. So I went to my GP, told him my symptoms. More or less I was in there for about 5-10 minutes.
Was that when you had your SAP checked as well? Because you said you was worried about a few issues with your boys at the time.
Did that rash clear up in the end?
It did. But then another one come back. So
mind you, I'll tell you something, it took a lot of elbow grease to get rid of it.
No, but I was serious note now. I was in there about 10 minutes, going over like a sort of chart of different symptoms of my depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
Basically a tally chart of say 1 to 8.
Yeah.
And how serious it is, whether it's an 8 or it's mild and it's a 1. So I've done that chart, and then the GP prescribes me with, I think it's an antidepressant called what was it called now? Is it Zatadine? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah, so it was that, but what I'd done is I never took the medication, only because I solely believed that I didn't need it and that I can do this myself.
Yeah.
So I went on a journey of trying to find myself, seek advice. I can't remember of the place that I went to for counselling. Obviously, you referred me to it, and in town
Yeah.
by the Bull Ring.
Oh yeah, St Martin's. for
St.
health and
St.
healing
Martin's
in Birmingham,
for health and healing.
yeah.
So
Good place.
yeah, so I went there. I did only have about three visits, 3 sessions, and it was good. It was good, but it was just that sole belief that I'm gonna do this on my own.
And that's an important thing, isn't it? It's the idea that you had a very empowering belief system. So let's look at the opposite of that. Someone that hasn't got a very powerful belief system and they're going through anxiety and depression. How do we boost that?
Well, I was going to just ask this question because there's some people who have had all that but not done the first bit. Can you remember, I think you can answer this question, what was the point where you ventured out and had the action that I want to get better? What was the final cause? Because then maybe that answers that question.
It was along the lines of literally having no intention to do anything anymore.
All your motivation gone.
All gone.
And describe
So-
that feeling.
so
What's it like to get through that feeling of no motivation? Because it's an uncomfortable
Well,
way, isn't it?
it's a funny thing because it just feels like you're tired all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
So it gets to the point where you wake up in the morning, you don't want to get up.
yeah.
You feel like that your bed is your safe place
Mm.
because there's nothing around you to make you feel any more like shit
Yeah.
than what you actually feel at the time. Hygiene, your personal hygiene, that just goes out the window because you just don't give a fuck about yourself, to be honest with you.
So your hygiene's improved?
Of course it has.
How bad
Wow.
was it?
Took about 2 years. I basically bathed, cleaned all the shit off.
Bathed. Potato, potato.
Bathed, yes. I won't pull the plug out, so I go back to the bath about 3 days later and bathed in that as well.
So
Oh my
God.
Was that a joke?
Yes.
But jokes aside.
No, yeah, it is. It's not. It's a very dangerous place to be in.
So Ryan, where with the motivation gone, and this is important because some people don't go out and get help because they can't find this motivation. So where did it come from to suddenly act?
Well, it's
If all your motivation's gone, how
you lose
did you-
interest with your day-to-day stuff, whether it's hobbies, things you enjoy, like jogging or
What
going to the
made
gym.
you finally snap and say,
My kids, because I lost interest in them as well.
Mm.
so that just hurt too much
Yeah.
when you knew it.
Made me
That's the
want
key
to.
word, pal, what you just said.
It made me
hurt
wanna-
too much. It hurts
Yeah.
too much.
It hurts too much.
And
Yeah.
that's the point at where, that's what Craig says, what was it that made you go and seek, realise you had to seek help? And it's when you feel like you're hurting too much, there's no choice
I
now.
think it's more or less rock bottom.
Yeah.
Until you hit rock bottom and actually become conscious that you've hit rock bottom instead of dwelling in it.
And
Yeah.
the- and
It
the
makes you
only
want to get
way
up and do
is-
something
the only
about
way is
it.
up from there.
Only way is up.
So this is valuable lesson straight away, very early on in the podcast, that pain actually isn't actually that bad. If you look at what he said, he's in a whole lot of pain, he's horrible, and it's a horrible position. I feel for that. I've been in that place with no motivation. But finally then the pain, luckily through his the eyes of his children, was like, no, I've got to step up and do something, I've got to
So-
go out and get
So
help.
why do we have to go to that painful place in the first place? And the answer to that, I think, is because do you feel like a more rounded person as a result of going through that, surviving it and coming out of it?
Yeah, it's you just feel more complete.
Yeah. Feel more resilient, a bit stronger in yourself, more belief
So
in
much
yourself.
stronger, yeah.
Okay. So then, pal, can I go through some of these notes that you picked up there?
So I've got a theory, a belief through my experience, which is going to sound controversial
Yeah.
and upset people, but I hopefully can explain in a way where you can get to this point, where at the highest level of my awareness at the moment, mental health doesn't exist. It's a conceptual, intellectual thought, and I've managed to practice this myself, so I know this is true, but it's hard to explain something that you don't experience yourself. So below that level to explain it, you have to put your mind around how everybody first of all has mental health. As the human you are now, you have a mental health condition, even if you haven't been diagnosed, and hopefully I can explain that theory.
Yeah.
So, but this is the first level to where you see it actually doesn't exist at all. It's made through pain and belief systems and lack of knowledge, and it's something that you pick up, but at the highest awareness you can get to a point where this is you choosing that.
So how's Graham at home, who's been suffering with grief or depression for the past 2 years, how's he going to be able to take that what you're saying is that it doesn't exist?
So at the moment he only has a reality that he's got mental health, and that's true. That's true on a certain level.
Okay, but so his reality is that he's only got mental health.
Yes.
But there's a deeper reality, isn't there? That's like a superego or cultural aspect of him, which is, oh, I've got mental health, but deeper than that, there's that pain and deep suffering that you're telling him isn't real.
Yes, and he has that as well. He has everything that he believes he has, and I have everything I believe I have. That's the way this this
Like the building blocks for you.
Yeah.
It's
Sort of almost like a seeing is believing.
yeah.
So if you've got
Feelings, believing.
so if you've got say 8 symptoms and you've got to get say 3 or 4 of them to diagnose what the condition is, and you've got a person that could literally be normal, but to see these traits about themselves that they see, and then they self-diagnose and say, well, I've got PTSD, or I've got bipolar disorder, or I've got ADHD. How can it be proven that they've got them conditions?
Well, everybody's got all the conditions in the different mental health aspects. That's the journey of being human, the vessel that we're in, because of our social upbringing has trained us to believe in this one reality. Just like the best way I can explain it sounds a bit silly, but do you remember a time long ago when you believed in Father Christmas?
Luckily I can remember back to then, yes.
So you believed in something.
It's only a year ago.
Yeah, but there's no Father Christmas.
No, there is Father Christmas, and
Yeah.
this is my point.
There is.
There is a Father Christmas. When you believed in Father Christmas existed. Then you had from your friends these little comments like, "Do your mum and dad they do it? Check them under the bed, you'll see all your presents," and then they'll say they're our Father Christmas. When that belief was shattered,
How do you explain the half-eaten carrot and the crumbs from the cookies?
That's a good
yeah,
point.
the reindeers were there too.
Okay.
They do exist.
Okay.
Right? Now, you believed in a magic, and it was a beautiful feeling to believe. It was a lot better than
Magical.
thinking something else. Now this is how I explain where you can get to. You can believe in anything you want. You have the power of the perception. I could say you are really fat, you've put on loads of weight.
But my perception is I'm not.
If you don't believe that to be true, it's not true.
No.
But if you go away and think, I've got to lose loads of weight, Craig, like it's right,
Yeah.
then, but that's two different realities.
But it's sort of like planting seeds in people's heads then, isn't it? So if you can say to someone, you look fat, but they're actually not, but them themselves, whether they've probably got like issues with their selves or the way they look, or some inkling that something is wrong and you've just highlighted it, then you're going to give them some sort of anxiety and depression because they can't be what they want themselves to be. They only want to listen to what others think of them, which is quite a typical world that we live in now at the moment.
So all I'm trying to do is, I understand your deep philosopher. It makes sense to me on a deep level how it doesn't exist.
I
But
understand
we're
what
talking about it
someone
now.
who's got it, someone who's got this mental health, how it's not a quick process. I think the process at the moment is wrong. The doctors, medication, just being told. If you was told you're just sad, then you're going to pick up if you do the right things. I think we have this culture to say you're bad and you have an antidepressant, and that highlights something in you that you are different to someone else. And the strange thing is, this is a part of the process to learn that we are all exactly the same. We all have this mental health problems because of the way of just something that we don't know, which is a bit of magic that is actually out there. The further you expand your awareness to realise these things that happen externally are unimportant, they're concepts. Now this is not something that can be just told to, and you want to...
This is my point, how do we get this across?
So if I was to say the perfect plan where you can get rid of your mental health, the perfect idea for me is a set of certain rules and habits that you have to do. At the moment, you have doing certain things when if you was back in that place, you have seen through experience that you've done certain habits. First of all, you went and got help, then you started probably to do better things for your mind,
Change scenery.
healthier things for your body. I know you've spoke about fasting and all these little habits. So you realise the only way that we ever do anything is through this experience. We experience something.
Also, the first step in helping people forwards who are in a dark place is to let them know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with them in the sense of how normal they are. Not that I'm suffering with depression, what's wrong with me? I'm suffering with bipolar, there's something wrong with me. That you're suffering with that experience at the moment, and it is perfectly normal as the sun rising in the morning.
It doesn't have to be labelled, it's labelled as an illness, and it's actually a trait that we have that is, in the past, the most you've ever been alive is through these emotions, these good and bad ones. Every moment that you've ever had, you are always this same strange.
But do you want to feel that alive? This is the thing, it's deeply this uncomfortable. To people further down the line, they can embrace these difficult emotions, but they are repugnantly disgusting to feel, aren't they? Anxiety, depression, grief, not being able to control your own emotions, not being able to control your behaviours, keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. It is deeply uncomfortable.
And you just talked about people out there that have these things and are aware of it, which this will be helpful for, but some people are unaware that all that's going on. They carry out actions that are on some sort of autopilot controlled by their animal side, and they don't even acknowledge that that's wrong.
Well, they're not even aware that they've got an animal side. Then this is about trying to wake people up to more awareness or education. So when certain phenomena like behaviours or experiences or emotions manifest within the body, they understand more about themselves to be able to self-regulate their emotions. So instead of somebody that's got an irrational fear feeling the anxiety and feeling completely petrified and afraid and trying their best to change that emotion by carrying out a self-defeating behaviour like some form of addiction, if they understood that everything that's going on physiologically now within their body is a normal reaction to anxiety, fear or any type of belief system, that will instantly regulate their emotions and make them feel again more normal and calm them down. It's that, for me, the big word here is helping people who are suffering, that think there's something wrong, and making them understand fundamentally they're okay, they are suffering and they are completely normal. So,
But that's it. It's like we've saying that they're doing things that are wrong, but it's not really wrong. It's their survival.
Well said, bro. Yeah.
So it's not a wrong thing to do. I mean, the so-called wrong things that I done were more of a focus for me to go against it.
And you
and
served
do
your time.
positive. Yeah, I've done my time. I've done my time.
He hasn't really been in prison, has he?
Well, I'm not, but don't think that I'm 100% because I'm not. There's still things I worry about. There's still things that make me a bit anxious, but it's nowhere near the level it was.
Yeah.
Say,
and again,
5 years ago.
The good news to that story is that he had to get to a really uncomfortable place for him to get enough desire, in a sense, or enough suffering to try and seek help.
Yeah.
And one important thing about this podcast is trying to give you guys a simple message that you're okay, you're normal, you're suffering, and that the one good positive thing, in a sense, as uncomfortable as that suffering is, it can reach a point where there's two options, isn't there? And we're going into the more difficult, dark side of mental health now.
Yeah.
There's two options with that type of deep pain. Every part of your mind, body and spirit will want to escape that pain, and that opens up two doors. One is to look for support like Ryan did, which helped him, and the other one is to end it all.
Suicide.
And when you talk about there's no wrong thing, Ryan, you're right, because when we can only, and we've only been biologically over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, to move away from discomfort, and it only opens up two doors, and we can discuss if there's more doors. It seems to me at the moment there's two doors. One is to end it, and one is to find hope.
Yeah.
And we've both lost.
I think
we both lost our dad to ending it.
Yeah, I think the ending stage is purely down to the fact that you feel alone. There's no more help you can get.
Yeah.
And as you watch this, you've probably started and saw that we're just having our own experiences, and we're just telling everybody like there is some hope out there, and we're trying. We all personally want to help people, because I suppose we've all felt pain that we don't want anybody else to feel, and we know that they will, and they are, and
Yeah.
some are unconscious to it. But the thing that you can get from this, and this is not just bigging it up because I'm in a podcast, this, if you listen to this information really open-minded, take away your belief systems that you've got at the moment, and really listen to the words that we're saying, there'll be a 1% of people that will really pick up on something and think, you know what, I can try that, I can try adding a new habit, I could try and figure out a way to get motivation from no motivation.
The best thing I feel that I ever done whilst on my own journey was just being out in nature and walking. Just long walks.
Isn't that strange as well? I've read a lot of self-help books, and some of them are awful when they bombard you that you've got to get some sort of purpose, and you've got to somehow focus on a goal.
Yeah.
And if you don't make it, it's like, aren't you just...
But that just creates more anxiety, doesn't it? Because if you don't reach your goal, you're just putting yourself in a deeper hole.
But speaking of the deep holes again, so we're looking at the two doors.
Yeah.
Right, you're in a dark place. We've been in these dark places. We know people that have been in these dark places. We're in a dark place, and there are only two doors open. Now, for people that have done what has been the most difficult, but what they perceive to be the most relief of suffering door to open for them has been to go through the suicide door, and it's probably because they've lost faith that there was another door, and that other door was help, right? And maybe the current system that's in place right now isn't set up correctly enough to give people like that are in that deep dark place the belief and faith that there's an alternative. You would say that suicide reflects that there's shitloads more work to do within the mental health industry.
It's
that
like
we're letting people down by not making them aware that there's another door and putting the right correct processes in place.
Well, I can tell you a true story on this one through my own experience. Breakdown of a marriage, not seeing my son, fighting court battles, living with a friend who really helped me and looked after me rent-free, which was a bonus. But through this pain and struggle, I went to the doctors, told him what had happened, and he gave me antidepressants. And I didn't pick them up from the chemist. I went straight home, I couldn't be bothered to wait for them. I put my prescription in, it's going to be like 10 minutes. But I just walked back. I was too down to even wait for these antidepressants, and I weren't bothered about them. So I went back, and you would think there'd be some sort of system in place when I went in there and said, oh, I'm not thinking right, I'm not motivated to go to work, I'm not having the best of thoughts.
It's a good point.
You'd think there'd be some sort of system in place, or he just came in a little bit suicidal. check if you took the tablets, if you didn't take the tablets, and no one followed that up.
Would you
That's
know what?
still there
You know
now.
what the problem is there? You're right. There wasn't a system in place. The problem with putting one in place is it costs money. Go through that figure again that you opened up at the beginning of the show. How much money is spent in the UK on mental health in a year?
So mental illness in the UK is 105 billion.
105 billion. And is there any transparency on how that's broken down and distributed across the sector?
This is cost of the services that you have. So the initial, just getting the appointment at the GP and getting it includes the pharmacy, the drugs, this accounts for the loss of work time that people have for these mental illnesses now. I mean, employees have to take time off work because of this illness, this secret illness that is like
And
devastating.
working in itself is probably one of the biggest contributing factors in mental health. You imagine how many people are getting up every single day and doing jobs that they really don't care about. It's no wonder why there's so much mental health about. We get a lot of self-esteem, self-worth out of having meaning and purpose in our lives, don't we? And if someone's getting up and working a 12-hour shift, stuck in a traffic jam before they go to work, stuck in a traffic jam when they're leaving work and they get home, that's, if you look at what people are spending most of their day doing, if you're spending 12 hours a day feeling deflated, meaningless, hopeless in a job that you hate, that has to be a large factor in this mental
But I just
issue.
think that's huge. £105.2 billion.
Yeah.
No money can help anyone.
And do you know what's a shame at the moment? We're programmed to think that there's a little island of happiness that exists if we're just not in the right job. We've got to get out of this. We've got to earn more money. I tell you what, money would take away a lot of the anxiety and problems. I probably wouldn't feel that sad.
But what
if I had
happens?
more
But
money.
what happens if you have that money and you spend it all?
Well, most people still have everything they want and still have clinical depression.
I don't have money, but I'm rich in life.
And again, it's a good perspective, isn't it? But we go into something deep there called ego defence mechanisms, don't we? What is the deeper truth to what's said?
Yeah,
Now you said there, what did you say?
I'm rich in life.
You're rich in life. How did you get to that belief system that you're rich in life? Was there a time when you didn't believe you were rich
By
in life?
realising what I actually have.
So gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah.
Okay, so gratitude is a good, I mean, you made a really good point the other day. Paulie said a phrase which I thought was genius. He says, I'm grateful for the things I don't have.
Yeah.
Now, what did you mean by that, Pal? Tell us about that.
In this awareness state that I can get to sometimes, a lot of the things that you believe to be as some sort of vanity, gain, ego boost and need and desire met is actually comes from a part of the mind where you're thinking and you're being like logical. I have a nice car now, I'm comfortable, it's got electric heated seats, and then you get to an awareness stage where all that doesn't matter and you can actually be in a place where you realise that's all conceptual
I get what you
thoughts,
mean now, yeah.
and you let go of all wanting any future because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You get completely zoned into the now, and some people call this the flow of the universe, and you realise you can just be grateful for the fact that you just breathe, that you just experience this.
Absolutely, that's like proper here and now Eckhart Tolle shit, isn't it?
This person is, I could have anxiety, I have anxiety still come on, but it's viewed in a different way now.
Like when you wake up in the morning and then you tell yourself, I've been given another chance.
I take yeah, and you know what's incredible? Think of the spiritual aspect of it, right? And people are thinking, what's the spiritual aspect of this? I'll tell you what it is. It's the idea that spinning on this rock at 63,000 miles an hour through minus 273 degrees space, there's this organism that's having an experience of desire, that it's thinking and feeling about the things that it wants. Now, isn't it almost a miracle that there's an existence that's happening right now that you can feel in your body that makes you feel an uncomfortable, negative feeling in that desire?
Well, do you know, for this, I couldn't get this because I just can't find it on the old internet. This was a statistic that I wanted to prove. I know that you're apparently a 230 million chance that your sperm was the one that created you.
Mm.
So you already had this amazing odds of just being born. But the odds of Earth, where you can live and be born, right, is also odds that are unmeasurable, because they don't even know what the chance of this universe is. If there's other universes, we can do it. But so the odds of you being here now, experience this recording of a podcast, are not mathematical.
Which sounds all, again, when you use that type of logic, it can be quite, to somebody that's in a goodish place, oh, that's quite a nice perspective to have, because it's not only a perspective, it's a truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about somebody that's in deep depression, who feels unlucky that why did I have to come into existence?
Yeah, and you can't see that reality until you've gone through the pain and the anger.
And the pain is doing everything that you don't want to do, by the way.
At first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It is. It comes from knowing that the process to get out of this current reality, this current experience that you're in, is a difficult one, and every part of your being doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So if it really takes.
It's more change. It's like you've got to really want to change everything about yourself, or you've got to find something new. You've got to find something new to get better.
You say it's you going, I want change. The incredible thing is when we go a little bit, explore it a little bit further, is the idea that you never chose to do that.
Mm.
That there's a part of you that has an experience of yourself that says, I chose to overcome my anxiety and depression. But ultimately, there's like a vibration or an experience, a set of emotions that became that difficult to feel naturally. Again, like the sun rising in the morning, we don't want to feel it. It's uncomfortable and it's negative. And as a result of that, we're either going to go one or two ways. It's quite fascinating now. We get a sense of I, or the ego gets involved and goes, I chose to overcome it. Well, you didn't. Luckily, you was probably just aware of another door.
Well, speak about this through your own experience. You tell us when that happened to you, so we can really get a feeling for it.
Right, so the same question as mine. What give you the push to change?
So you just explain us through logical, intellectual knowledge of that process.
Profoundly deep knowledge.
Tell us through your experience. How did you choose the right door?
Okay, so again, it's just down to nothing to do with me choosing anything. So for instance, when I go to my own difficult, dark places, it's profoundly difficult. It's scary. It's frightening. Feelings of lack of control. Feelings again I felt in the past. I've had suicidal thoughts. The fear of having the suicidal thought becomes even more uncomfortable than having the suicidal thought. It perpetuates the fear. And what happens is, as soon as I've got that deep, overwhelming fear, and luckily to do with my counselling background and an education in what's going on inside of me, I'm always aware that there's an alternative door to help me get through that. Unluckily for other people, and life which chose different paths for them, they're not aware of any education and understanding themselves, and when they feel that deep despair and pain, they're not aware that that door exists, and we've got to try and help people become aware of that alternative door, aren't we?
Yeah,
well, that's the
it's purely the concept of the feeling alone.
Yeah,
but we can tell you now, you're not alone.
Yeah, it's
You're not
multifaceted,
alone.
isn't it? It's a feeling of alone, absolute fear, deep suffering, feeling of not being enough.
It's a scary thought when you think about committing suicide.
That's the thing that makes
because you're not only
worse,
thinking about it, you're actually picturing it.
Yeah.
You picture the thought of doing it, and that's
again,
even scary.
And that's the fascinating thing. What I found out about the mind, the brain is that when we have emotions, the brain's like an image forming muscle machine.
Yeah.
And what the brain tries to do is it tries to put images on top of emotions. So you feel that deep down and dark, in a lot of suffering, the brain is going to try and go into the future to create an image that shows you the doorway to get out of it. And people sit there and they say, I have suicidal thoughts, what's wrong with me? It's like, you have suicidal thoughts, everything's okay and right with you. This is what the mind does when you feel as bad as this. But again, I know I keep boring you with stressing it. It's like, those people don't understand, don't feel, don't believe in that alternative door. And the purpose of this podcast, if anything, is to give people the faith that there's something out there that's going to transcend them and give them that alternative door.
It's not even hope, because it is faith.
Faith is a good word to use for it.
I recently wrote a book on the lockdown. I wrote a book, the self-help book, and
He's talking about
I thought of a good plan.
Here we go.
We got one in there. Come on, tell us about Carl.
So, on the, I think
this
this is called jealousy psychoanalyzing.
Go on. Anyway, so tell us all about your book.
So,
50 Shades of What.
the number 8 one is faith. The law that you have to learn about, and I picked it as number 8, the final one before you can get to this final awareness where you don't even think mental health exists, which is a great relief, by the way. So faith is everything, because when you had the belief in Father Christmas, right, and come back to that story, you felt better than when you found out another alternative reality. So this faith, I can't say to you that this table is bright gold unless you believe with all your knowledge and experience that is what I'm saying it is. So the belief in something and the faith, like people have it for religion.
Oh yeah.
They have a faith for religion, and that's the only reality to see. And they do believe in that, and that story is true. And that's not actually true.
So what are you saying to Bob at home with depression here, that faith, he needs to get an aspect of something that he doesn't believe in. He needs to now believe in something he doesn't believe in. That's a difficult...
Going through my experience personally, I wouldn't have done it. I never had any faith. So I wouldn't say jump straight to faith. I'd say, first of all, what don't you do at the moment? And you said stuff about hygiene and you felt better going for walks.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to be unhygienic and feel bad and continue that feeling? Or do you want to do something that
Okay, so let's role play that then. Well, I don't see any need to take care of my hygiene, Craig.
Look, I don't think it's holding up anymore.
Now it's acceptance of that. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Do you understand that it's okay to not want to move off the sofa? What has happened to you? Oh well, I just had this experience when I was made redundant. I split up with my partner. I really loved that. Okay, that's fine. You had an experience. Your identity, Ryan Andrew Craig, had an experience in life. What's going to make you not want to move off the sofa? So let's take the weight off that negativity and say that is understandable.
There's always two different ways, equal ways of seeing a situation or a current experience.
There's the magic of perception, but even that perception is hard to find. How can I perceive that the world doesn't have it in for me? Because that's all I can see.
That's it, yes.
It's breaking down that wall of reality.
It is, and it's a difficult wall to break down, isn't it? I mean, ultimately...
But it's fairly confident to talk, isn't it? It's about building confidence as well, I think.
And that's it. It is a big issue in me.
It's not
fear.
It's not just fear. Yeah, it's not just fear. It's confidence. It's being able to express yourself, even if it's just for 10 seconds. At least you've got to start somewhere. At least you've started
as a cry for help.
As a cry for help, yeah.
And again, let's look at that terminology, a cry for help, and we can repaint it into a different way of seeing it. I was brought up. I'm 44 years old from Yorkshire, and I don't cry for help. I was always told to bite my bottom lip and get on with it. So how do we repaint the phrase cry for help?
So this person now has a belief that is wrong, it's not true. There's definitely one single truth out there.
It is for him, and it's his identity, isn't it? That's the hard bit.
Yeah, so I know that that's not true. he doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's breaking down.
So what did you do?
habits.
What did you do before you realised it's not true?
That's a good one, Roy. Yeah, make him aware that there was a point before he believed in that.
100% there was a
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So what was the point before
So-
you realised?
Same as you, and I think everyone, this is where the door comes there, and it's pain. Pure pain creates change. But before, pain was everything that was bad. I was brought up from the age of 5 being not abused purposely, but it's sort of emotional abuse because your parents only tell you the lessons that they've learnt in life.
Oh, exactly.
It's not that the
It's a knock-on effect.
generation to generation just pass on information, and
And it's-
unfortunately that information doesn't actually help you that much.
And when we say the word abuse and we look at the parent here, we're not saying that your parents, they've not consciously abused you in any way, shape or form.
100% my mum did.
So at the end, so what we're looking at now is the idea of the abuse, and one of the most important things here is awareness. Now it's easy to hear that and go, yeah, I was abused by my mum and dad, and the fact of the matter is you wasn't. It was life. This is what happened. Your mum and dad was brought up by their mum and dad and inflicted upon them a lot of emotional distress, which regurgitated into behaviours which then became yours. And it wasn't the case that there's no bad people here, is there? It's just a complete lack of awareness running through the whole of culture.
Well, one thing I've noticed is very early on, I started this journey probably four years ago now, and very early on, when you start building up your awareness and you start to go to that uncomfortable place, and you realise, once you're in it and you can go a bit further, then it gets a bit more uncomfortable. Once you go in and out a few times and you practice this, things will start to come up that you didn't even realise you had. And one of them is issues with parents. Now I see people who are still 50, 55, and they still are holding on to these issues. So it's almost like it's quite basic psychology to understand.
And is that frustrating to you?
What, for me personally?
Yeah, go on, be honest, just be brutally honest.
About what?
The fact that there's still 50 people that are in the 50s having
Oh
issues.
yeah, this tortures my soul because I've seen a different reality where you can work through this, realise that all the problems that you have in your
Do
life.
you know what I'd say? I'll cut you off there, you know what? Because you do still have issues,
Oh yeah,
right?
what did I say? I didn't have issues.
Yeah, and what is clear is the idea of if we're going to go to a place where people can accept themselves more, we can say that again, it's perfectly normal. Every single thing that we highlight today on here, no matter what the behaviour is, no matter what the issue, we have to put that clear message that it's perfectly normal. It's frustrating for us because we know that there's a different way of feeling out there,
Yeah.
that we can transcend and not be imprisoned by this past anymore, but it is still absolutely normal, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't frustrate me because I understand what they go through on a complete level.
Yeah. Well,
Because at the end of the day, no matter where I've gone or the journey that I'm on and where I've come today, and the person that I'm just saying the person that I've become, it doesn't change me or annoy me if they're feeling.
that was funny. The other day on the phone, there was a cat crossing the road, and he went, "Get the fuck out of the way, cat."
Yeah. The only reason why is I've got annoyed by the cat. Because
Into the cat.
We've got
I'm in a fucking car and it's sitting there in the middle of the road, just sitting
The
there,
cat doesn't know it's a road.
and I'm not getting angry at the cat. I'm just getting angry because I don't want to fucking kill it or
So
going
why are you
over
getting
with my
angry at
car
the-
tyre.
Well, you wouldn't have killed it if you'd just been patient.
I was patient.
Didn't sound like
I
it on the phone.
was patient,
So-
and then I got
Right.
annoyed by it because it wasn't moving.
Ryan, this I can see this brings up the rage now. Isn't it funny, right? This is a good little thing that's come up.
Yeah.
Ryan's talking about a true experience that happened to him.
Like
You can see
pigeons as well.
this is
Jesus
all his
Christ!
frustration out now. He's really digging deep,
What's
right?
wrong with pigeons?
I don't want to kill the pigeon, but when you're driving towards it,
Oh,
they don't
sad.
fucking move.
I know, but it's just.
And then people say to me, oh, it's a street rat. It doesn't matter, it's a fucking life.
Right.
It's still a bird.
Right. So, once upon a time, you've been that pigeon. Stuck in that, you have. You've been that pigeon stuck
I'd
in the road.
I used to eat off the school playground.
You
I
know
was
when
in primary
I
school.
used to eat pigeons off the school playground.
did you?
No.
That's dark stuff. Right.
So you just said, you was unconscious a minute ago, that you says that you understand and there's nothing that gets you alright anymore, and then 2 seconds later
No.
you talk about pigeons
No.
and cats.
No, there's a difference. I don't mean I get irate by people's problems. And the shit time that they're in at the moment. I'm not getting annoyed at that, and what I'm telling you is that I'm understanding it. So there's no reason to get annoyed. The reason why they're not talking out
What, pigeons?
is no people. The reason why people ain't speaking is because you say things like you are annoyed that
Am I
they're in that
annoying you now?
position.
Am I annoying you now?
No. No.
Right. So,
But don't you see where I'm coming from?
No, I don't, because you're saying that you understand things, but what you're clearly showing us as well, that you don't understand other things.
Yeah. But that's it.
And is that okay?
Of course it's okay.
Do I do the same?
Yeah.
No, I don't. You know.
Yeah, you do.
Right then, so let's get back onto helping the anyone with mental health or even don't know they've got mental health.
Do you know what the big one is, pal? We missed a simple word here. And I think, God, it opens up Pandora's box where I'm going to go now. Real unconditional love. And tune in to a Safe Place podcast next week, where we'll talk about all forms of addiction.